Oh, that took a little while, didn't it? We're here at Auto Mechanica. Ed Cockill has joined us from Uckfield Motor Services. Thank you very much for joining us. How are you, first of all?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah.
Bit of an early start to get up here, but
It is.
yeah, had a good companion today to drive up here. But yeah, no, it's great to be here. The show looks amazing. And the brief bit that I've looked at it so far, but it looks unreal.
It's a big old show, isn't it? It's a big old show. Here, everyone, it's amazing how small our automotive industry is, isn't it? Everyone sort of knows everyone. It's a real nice sort of feeling. Everyone sort of gets to know everyone. And the purpose of this chat is, obviously we're over here on the Benz stand. We're surrounded by yellow on the Benz stand. And thank you very much for joining us for this sort of fireside chat, podcasty chat that we're going to have. And a little bit about your story, really, because obviously we know Ben. You know, I'm looking at the supporting automotive workers since 1905. Perfect plug for me there to say that. But then I wanted to sort of delve into your story a little bit and how you've come to sort of know Ben and how Ben has helped you.
Yeah. So my personal story, probably as I explained to someone earlier, it doesn't involve Ben from the start. So
No.
I've always been a happy-go-lucky person, in for a penny, in for a pound sort of person, and always loved a good night out. Had a fantastic upbringing. I went motor racing when I was younger. I suppose I came from an affluent background because Dad owned a garage and stuff like that. So I had a fantastic upbringing. Went to university, partied hard at university.
Yeah.
Met my wife. Then just life happened. Started having children.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, and I'm a very sociable creature. I love being out, doing stuff. And obviously with COVID, we were stuck inside.
Of course.
But also that then came, I started drinking. And I've always been a bit of a drinker, but I can give and take when I wanted. But in COVID, it just started magnifying, and it was every night continuously drinking. And my wife, for about 6 months, and this must have been, what we're now, so this must have been 2022, started saying to me, look, you're drinking again, oh, this and this. I would kind of pacify and be like, no, it's fine, it's not a problem. But she didn't realise I'd probably been drinking before that and was also kind of hiding a lot of drink as well. So anyway, it got to a head at Top Garage 2022 and up in Milton Keynes. And my wife came up, she was 7 months pregnant with our third child.
Yeah.
My mum and dad came up, and the weird thing is I never used to really drink in front of my mum and dad because my mum and dad are not big drinkers at all. My dad barely drinks. So it's a really weird situation. But anyway, got absolutely hammered. Ended up going out for the night with lots of the automotive trade people as they do.
Yeah.
Left my wife in the hotel, rolled in about 4:30 in the morning after about 30, 40 calls from various people saying, where the hell am I? And yeah, so anyway, it didn't really kind of come to fruition of what sort of trouble I was in. And I remember going around to my mum and dad, and I said to my mum and dad, are you all right? And they kind of looked at me and I was like, well, I'm in a little bit of trouble here because my mum and dad normally can count on them, can't you, to stick up for you for whatever.
Of course, yeah.
And so I had to drive home with mum because I was in no fit state to drive my car home. My wife went home with my dad, which was probably for the best. But as I walked through the front door, everyone was sitting round in a kind of semicircle. So my in-laws, my mum and dad and my wife. And you've got a problem, basically, an intervention, I suppose, is what you would call it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's where it kind of all started. That was the last day I had a drink. So it's now 3.5 years. It's taken me a long time to get to that point. And this is where the funny thing is, I'm a firm supporter in Ben and have been for the last few years. But the problem is, at the time, I didn't know enough about Ben. And so since then, I've been kind of like shouting about Ben because if I knew about it at the time, it would have made such a difference to my journey. I tried AA. AA wasn't for me. Luckily, I had amazing family support around me and family and friends and stuff, but I didn't know enough about Ben. So that's why now I've done a fair bit of fundraising for them, and I like to talk to them about everyone. And because having that support, especially a lot of the time, it's a stranger, because when you've got a problem, the hardest thing is admitting to someone that you have a problem, and trying to admit it to your loved ones that you have a problem, or your friends that you've got a problem, is very hard because you don't want them to look down on you. But actually being able to speak to someone over the phone, or a stranger essentially, but obviously as a qualified therapist, can really help.
Yeah. So how was it, I mean, you just sort of explained it a little bit there. I mean, how the impact on your family and your close friends and stuff was so much that they obviously got round and had that intervention. So you weren't aware of that, obviously, at the time.
When you're essentially, I suppose, an alcoholic or an addictive, or whether it's gambling, drugs, whatever you're addicted to, you're just blinkered on.
Yeah.
Not worried about anything that's going on around you, and you kind of, when people do bring it up, you kind of quash it down quite quickly. So, I mean, to put it in perspective, like we would normally go on a pub on a Friday night with the lads after work, when it wasn't before COVID. So what we started doing is buying a case of beer and then having a beer in the workshop, just one, but then I would take the rest of them and drink them on the way home. So one, completely illegal, two, completely reckless, especially with the line of work that I do. And then, so my wife didn't realise, by the time I got home, I probably had 3 or 4 beers, but then I'd have another 6, 8 that I bought on the way home. So she thought maybe I was only having like 4 or 5 beers, but really I wasn't. I was probably hitting double figures by that point.
Wow. Yeah.
So it was a lie. So then she would then go to bed. I would then kind of go in the drinks cupboard and start drinking some of the stuff. I mean, I'd never ever drink Malibu, but I was drinking Malibu at like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And it was just a bit of a poor show, really. And my wife didn't realise how bad it was till afterwards, when my mum, dad and my wife decided to empty out all the drinks out of the house, and there was nothing really left.
Right.
So it wasn't for my family and friends. I probably would have been heading straight down the same kind of path, really.
So talk to me a little bit about how, because obviously that's the main bit, you started to realise there's a problem, but how do you obviously tackle that problem, but obviously still have to be a functioning adult? You still have to juggle work, you still have to do these things, because it is hard. You've got to face up to that you've got a problem, you've got to look for the right help, but then also you've got to continue working, supporting, be a supportive father and a son and husband and all the rest of it.
It is difficult. Like the first 3 months were awful. You kind of, in a way, you have to keep carrying on. And I think what kind of put it in perspective for me was the fact that I've got 3 very young children at the time. They're now 6, 4 and 3. So Rupert hadn't even been born.
Right.
My middle one was just coming up to her first birthday, and Charlotte was 3. So I had a really young family. So and my wife and me had some really kind of long, deep chats, which were pretty horrible to go through, but you got to front them up.
Of course.
But it's getting the right support is the biggest thing, and having the right people around you. And Ben are wonderful what they do. And I was very lucky that I had 2 of my best friends who I kind of broke down when I told them what the issue I had, but they kind of turned around and said, so what? We're here for you.
Yeah.
So what? Doesn't matter, does it? I've been friends with you for 25 years. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make you any less of a person, does it? There's that shame, isn't it? The shame of admitting you have a problem. There's no shame in that. The shame is actually admitting you have it. Like you can't get it out. So it's a really weird kind of scenario. Until you've been in that position, you can't understand it. And that's why I'm now trying to be as vocal as I can about it, because if you can get through to at least one person that there is people like us struggling. Like I'm a managing director of a company and lead 20 people, but it still happens to us. It still happens to everyone.
And 100%. I mean, you are in telling your story. You're absolutely. There's absolutely people that are related to right now, as soon as they hear it. On that though, when you just mentioned, like you say, managing director of a company, leading 20 people, how has it changed? Because you said 3.5 years you haven't had a drink now, and amazing, absolutely incredible, that journey you've been on. But how does has it changed the way you run a business now, and also deal with people? You've got 20 people, all with their different problems, or is there more people than that now?
Yeah, there is. So at the time, there was only probably 10 of us, so we've doubled in size in like 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So it just shows that. And I'm not saying people don't drink. I'm not saying that. My wife still goes out and drink. We were at a silent disco on Saturday, and then she gets a designated driver now, doesn't she? So I'm not saying to people not have a drink, but I am probably the fittest, most engaged, the most there, and that's the biggest thing, is being there. Whether it's for your family, your employees, your friends, it's being there all the time. I'm just there. So it's just made me so much more engaged in everything. But the business has skyrocketed. I mean, the people around us know how well it's doing. But I'm not saying to people don't drink.
No, of course.
I'm not saying that.
No.
But it's just having that conversation of like, do I need to go and get absolutely hammered? Do I need to do that? So yeah, it's definitely a conversation people can have. But yeah, the business has done really well, like really, really well since that point. And I've also, where I've been so open with my members of staff, and I'm really open with them, that's actually led to them coming to me with problems. And so I've had two now of our technicians who have gone through programs with Ben because they were struggling with their mental health.
Right.
And I don't think if I wasn't as open with them, maybe they probably wouldn't have approached me, and I could have pointed them in the right direction to use the services of Ben.
Yeah, and we've spoke about the automotive industry. You know, it's quite unforgiving sometimes. The long days. It's quite male dominated. There's a number of things. Sometimes you take your job home, especially being, you know, the owner of a business, all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. Any business, but automotive industry we're talking about specifically. Do you find that having drawn on your experiences that you're much more engaged with your employees' needs? So you're not on the lookout, but you're very much aware of what could be happening in their lives because you've been through such things.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of like the asking them, how are you? But no, how are you? It's that sort of questions that need to be asked because, I mean, I got caught off guard by one of my lads who approached me, and he's the most happy-go-lucky person in the world. Really happy, always looks like he's having fun or doing whatever. And he just approached me one day and he caught me really off guard. And that's when I really started taking notice and really started engaging a lot more with the staff, because I never expected him to say he was struggling. And he turned around to me and said, I'm struggling. He was in a bad way. He went down to 4 days a week so he could do his therapy with Ben on Fridays, because we were finding that he was doing his therapy in his lunch break and was struggling to take it all in and then engage with his work. So we went down to 4 days a week so he could get himself sorted. And within 8 weeks, he was back to 5 days a week. And he's now happy as ever. But we still obviously check up on him.
Of course.
Yeah. And so it makes you engage a lot more with the staff. And men are terrible, aren't we? We are horrific, and there's no two ways about it. And because we've always been drummed into us from a very young age that we've got to be brave, we've got to be solid, we can't show emotion. And I blame the baby boomers, that kind of era, for it. And it's okay to show your emotion. It's okay to say, I need help. You don't have to be this big brave person all the time, and people will respect you more for it. So
absolutely. And I think I've worked in the automotive industry. I know people that have used Ben and are using Ben and again weren't aware. So people like you banging a drum is absolutely key. I want to speak specifically about Ben and when you contacted them. How easy was it? I mean, was there a bit of a stigma? Did you not want to speak to a perfect stranger? You mentioned actually it was probably quite easier rather than speaking to your family about it.
Obviously, I mean, I wish I knew when I was going through the struggles. I really wish I knew Ben was there and how easy it was. So my real only experiences are through my members of staff.
Right.
And they took a bit of pushing, but once they got that initial phone call out of the way, the whole process was simple. And it was just so easy, because as a business, you'd either be kind of paying for those services, wouldn't you? You'd be like, because you would feel a bit like, because a lot of their mental health issues are to do with the industry. It is a highly stressful industry. The expectations from customers is what causes a lot of that, because their cars are so important, aren't they, to their life? And so they expect their car back there and then. They put the pressure onto you, which then puts the pressure onto you. They message you every single hour of the day, whether you're on holiday or not, and it does add stress and anxiety to the job, especially when the job doesn't go right. There's even more anxiety in that. But from a point of view, when my two technicians, we put them forward onto Ben, the whole process was simple. And within a matter of days, they were starting their sessions, speaking to trained therapists. I'm not a trained therapist. So I can only offer a certain level of advice. Or what I try to do a lot of is just listen. But to actually speak to someone who knows what speaking to me, and they are doing brilliant. And I can't begrudge anything that Ben has done. So that's hence why we try and do as much fundraising as possible for him.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how going back into the industry after recovery. I know a lot of people actually that have had addiction issues I've worked with alongside. Some people that I wouldn't have even known that they'd had that past. Some people that I absolutely who are all more vocal about it. So stepping back into the industry after being on the recovery, is there still a bit of a stigma there? Do you think people are still a little bit embarrassed to open up about what they've been through?
I think there is. I think there's a stigma. It's a stigma in general. It's not just in the automotive industry. It's across the whole country.
100%.
Like, I'm the strange one because I'm not drinking. So people.
We have got a drinking culture.
People look at me and they go, "Why are you not drinking?"
Yeah,
At first, I was ashamed to be like, "Well, I've got to drink." And you kind of mask around it.
Yeah.
Now I'm a lot more straight up, and like I've been to various events, whether it's through some of our suppliers, whatever it is, and people look at me and go, "Why are you not drinking?" And I'll be like, "Well, no, because I've got a drinking problem. I can't drink." Yes, and then they kind of shut up quite quickly. But there is this massive stigma. I can't understand why you're persecuted for not drinking.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to change in years to come because the Gen Zs are not drinking nowhere near as much as us millennials are. We was that is to say caners.
Yeah.
We hit it hard, didn't we? Bank holidays were Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and you
agree.
carry on through. But I think it's going to the drinking culture is changing. Is changing, which I believe is a good thing. Because people are valuing their lives a lot more. They're valuing health a lot more. As I said, I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I mean, I'm able to run ultra marathons now. I do all sorts of stuff, weird and horrible, sadistic stuff. But I'm able to do that because I don't drink. I could go running on a Sunday for 3, 4, 5 hours. But wake up at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and do it because I don't drink. Amazing. Whereas like 10 years ago, I would never be doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think you're right. I think the drinking culture in this country is absolutely. It's a thing. It is absolutely a thing. We've got to kind of admit to it. I think a lot of people don't like to sort of say it's a problem, but it absolutely is. It absolutely is. I mean, first of all, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's absolutely inspirational because, like I say, you're not the only person that I've met in this industry that has gone through that, and you're certainly not going to be the last. But I think more people that are open about it is only going to help people going forward. And like you say, you've got team of people who sort of look to you, and I think not only are your ultra marathons inspiring, and to be honest make me feel a bit sick thinking about them, I need to get a bit fitter, but yeah, the fact that you've been through that and come out the other side can only be a good thing, and Ben is here obviously for all those people. I've got a question though. We've got a question from a Matt Yeldon that's asked. I've got a couple more. We'll come on to this. So now we shared our journeys. If you could go back and give one message to your past self, what would it be? That's a tough one.
It's a really tough one. It's quite a deep one, actually. I think the problem is I was in a pretty poor cycle. So I never actually, when I gave up drink, I was never like shaking for a drink or anything like that. I think a lot of it was mentally in my head, and it was like a really poor cycle of like, I would drink a lot, feel horrendous the next day, thought I had a bad day at work. What's the answer? So I think if I went back 10 years, I would say, and I'm a firm believer in this, and this is where the British culture is really bad, is the answer to your problems is not having a drink. You see on so many TV programs, as soon as they have a problem, what's the first thing they do? The whiskey cabinet, don't they? They pour a whiskey and a brandy.
It's every film I've ever seen.
How bad is that? We should be dealing with our problems head on instead of hitting a bottle. And that's what I would say to myself, my younger self, is your answers aren't having a couple of pints down the pub, because that's when it starts magnifying and getting worse. That's not your answers. You've got to deal with your problems by speaking to people like Ben. Even just, I love these events because I get to network, and it's a bit like therapy, because a lot of the problem with the automotive trade is you think you're on your own, but actually all the garages around the country have got exactly the same problems as you have, if not worse, and you're not the only person. And that's been a big thing for me, is networking. Networking with all the fellow garages, the suppliers and stuff like that, and that's a bit like therapy for me. That's helped. So yeah, just drink is not your answer if you've got a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. And it's so funny when you mentioned about every TV program, every film. It's exactly what they do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost been ingrained into me. I think even I've done it. You know, I wouldn't ever say I've got an addiction, but we've all drunk too much, right? So I've actually gone into that pit when I've had a stressful day, and I think, oh, the done thing is, oh, you have a drink to relax. Yeah. It's like, it's almost, it's counterproductive completely. But yeah, thank you very much.
Makes you feel better for that little bit of time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a short term.
Exactly.
It's like
I've kind of gone the other way. Like I will, if I've had a bad day, I'll order a Domino's pizza.
Yeah,
and that's that. So I might have changed my addiction slightly, but yeah, I'll order a Domino's pizza, and it makes me feel better for about half an hour, and then about 2 o'clock in the night, I wake up with needed a drink or something. I feel like crap the next day.
And then you can't do your run and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But no, that's the vice. If that's the vice, we'll take it. I think. There we go. Perfect. I think that is pretty much it from here. But enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's absolute inspiration. And also, we'll keep banging the bend drum, and you'll do it as well. And also, Uckfield Motor Services. Actually, a little bit on that. Tell us a little bit about your business. Actually, I've not done that.
No.
Let's do that now. Tell us a bit about your business. Where are you? What do you do?
So we're based in Uckfield, East Sussex. Okay. Fairly smallish town. My mum and dad started the business over 30 years ago now. We had our 30th celebration a couple of years ago.
Wow.
So I've known no different. I have been brought up. I got to do motor racing. I got to
motor racing?
So I did go-karts from about 8 years old to about 18, and then I've raced Fiestas, Radicals, CLE on Supercars. I've been very fortunate.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been really lucky.
There's a load of race cars here.
I've raced all around Europe.
Nice.
I'm very lucky. I was very lucky to do it.
Brilliant.
So yeah, Ellen, I went to university, tried to escape. I did motorsport engineering at uni, and then still ended up back at the business. And my brother's there as well. And my sister's now there as well.
Oh, proper family affair.
Yeah, so I run the kind of business side of business. My brother's a fantastic technician, so he runs the workshops. And my sister's the finance director, so we have to be nice to her because she pays us. So we got now 20 odd of us. I can't remember the exact head count. We got it's big workshop, 13 ramps, 2 MOT bays. Very, very busy. It's a great business.
And working with family, does it come with its stresses, or is it actually plain sailing?
You could kind of blame my drink problem on that, but it's when we were younger, when me and my brother were younger, kind of early mid-20s, a lot of testosterone pumping around. Yeah. There was times when we was out the back probably taking lumps out of each other. But now we've, like a couple of years ago, we sat down, defined our roles. We don't really cross over on our roles. I don't get involved in the finance stuff with Hannah. I don't really get involved in the workshop. But then we bang heads together when we need to. So it was about defining the roles that made the real difference, because if not, we were just like mismashing on everything. So
perfect. Well, long may the success continue. Sounds absolutely brilliant, and you're managing to do it with family as well. I mean, well done you. But thank you very much, man. Really appreciate it.
And thank you very much for having me.
No worries.